She boarded the plane with confident silence, her ticket clutched in her hand and a long week behind her. But before she had even taken a seat, a voice sliced through the cabin. Cold, dismissive, thick with entitlement. A stranger had taken her seat, and what was initially a mere misunderstanding hardened and heavy with something much darker than annoyance. Fellow passengers stood by, uncertain, as tension mounted in the aisle. What everyone did not know was that this instant would expose more than a seat controversy. It would expose an ugly reality still existing in broad daylight. The question is, how long would it take before someone finally said something about it? Jordan Williams had constructed a life others envied. Years of late nights and early mornings had carried him from small-town boy with big dreams to CEO of a rapidly expanding tech firm. Travel was now part of the job, a haze of meetings, red-eye flights, and quiet moments aloft where he could at last catch his breath. That morning was no exception. He reached the airport relaxed and concentrated, coffee at hand, preoccupied with the presentation that lay ahead on the other side of the flight. But when he stepped up to the gate, something in the atmosphere was wrong. A tension in the line. Eyes that lingered too long. He shrugged it off. He'd learned not to let minor affronts spoil his day. But as he checked his ticket and strode to his seat, he had no idea the next couple of minutes would put his patience to the test, as well as the very pride he'd fought a lifetime to preserve. Jordan entered the cramped aisle, suitcase sliding quietly behind him. The whir of passengers finding seats filled the cabin, but one voice rose above, firm, sharp, and directed squarely at him. "That's my seat," the woman intoned, tilt of chin high, her hand already planted possessively on the armrest. She did not look at his ticket, did not even ask a question. She just took it, her voice brooking no argument. Jordan extended his boarding pass with measured care. "I think this is 3A, he said quietly, though a flicker of nervousness moved in his chest. She did not glance at the paper, her lips compressed into a thin line. "No, that's my seat. You'll have to check with the flight crew." A flight attendant materialized, sensing the impasse. Jordan pulled back, providing room, but not conceding ground. Passengers around them exchanged looks, some inquisitive, others discomfited, but no one said anything. The attendant scanned the ticket, then the placard above the seat. Her smile faltered. "Sir, you're correct. 3A is yours." For a moment, silence settled like a weight. The woman's expression hardened, as if conceding would cost her more than pride. "Well, I'm already sitting," she muttered, folding her arms. Jordan got a flash of heat at the base of his neck. He'd been here before. The subtle calculations, the choice of letting it pass or demanding respect. Swallowing it too many times had been the more cautious option. But something in her expression, haughty and unyielding, said this wasn't just about a seat. He took a breath. "I'd like it if you would move so I could sit where I'm supposed to." The attendant moved, prepared to step in, but the woman remained immovable. Her voice increased, loud enough to carry over to surrounding rows. "Why are you being so obstinate? Can't you simply sit somewhere else?" The cabin murmur swelled. Phones leaned in, recording unobtrusively. Jordan sensed the spotlight closing in, every eye gauging his reaction. He straightened, hard but unyielding. "I'll wait," he replied softly. Minutes hung, heavy with tension. The attendant finally came closer to the woman. "Ma'am, he does have the ticket to this seat. If you do not move, we cannot leave." Her cheeks grew rosy, not with apology, but anger. She jerked up her bag with a snap, stood so suddenly that the armrest shook. She pushed past him, grumbling under her breath. Jordan slipped into the seat, placing his bag tidily beside his feet. But the air didn't clear. It stuck to him, thick and sour. He sensed the glances, some warm, some questioning, as if they were still trying to determine if he had any place there at all. He clenched his jaw and stared out the window. He knew this wasn't the end. It was just the start of something bigger. Something that would soon make everyone on that airplane face a reality they hadn't wanted to witness at 30,000 feet. The aircraft had come to a stop, the quiet kind that is more accusatory than words. Jordan sat rigid, fingers clasped together, but his pulse thumped like a tom-tom inside. The woman, standing in the aisle, would not allow it to go quietly. "This isn't fair," she snapped, her tone deep enough to cut through the whine of the engines. "People like you always make everything about race." Gasps of shock flowed through the cabin. Some of the passengers shifted uncomfortably. Others remained still, playing dumb. Jordan felt the weight of her words fall like a stone in his chest. Heavy, familiar. He could have pushed it aside, as he had so many times before. But something within him, years of being doubted and diminished, crested like a tide he couldn't push back. He turned to her, quiet but unyielding. "I'm not requesting special treatment," he said, voice steady but low. "Just the seat I paid for." She snorted, rolling her eyes, but before she had a chance to respond, the attendant intervened, stern now. "Ma'am, if you keep it up, we'll be forced to have you removed from this flight." Point. The woman's outrage stumbled, giving way to a flicker of doubt. Then Jordan supplemented, not loud, not arrogant, simply clear. "And for the record, I don't just fly this airline. I own it." The words dropped like a stone, disturbing the ripple of the cabin. Heads turned, jaws dropped. Even the attendant blinked, shocked but relieved. For a moment, no one stirred. The woman's face went white, her rage imploding in a stunned silence. Jordan met her stare, unyielding as a boulder, as all the unspoken tales, all the quiet accommodations he'd ever made to maintain the calm, coalesced behind his eyes. The equilibrium of the moment changed. He wasn't merely fighting for a seat anymore. He was staking ground in a world that all too commonly sought to erase him. And as the engines rumbled to life, the question hung in the recycled air. Would the rest of them at last see what had been there all along, or turn away once more? As the aircraft soared into the clouds, Jordan sat in the silence that came after, the adrenaline beginning to recede. The woman had moved to another row, eyes anywhere but on him. Beside him, in front of him, behind him, the cabin hummed with new consciousness. Some people whispered, others refused to look at all. But for Jordan, the moment was not about their gaze anymore. It was never about what the encounter had revealed, but about her, and about the world still hungry to challenge his right to be where he'd struggled so hard to hold ground. He remembered all those boardrooms where he'd been taken for an assistant, where he'd had to establish over and over again that he was someone more. Running an airline hadn't protected him from it. Success was not able to remove it easily. That fact weighed more than enough suitcases hung up above his head. But as he saw the sun come in through the window, something else stirred in him: determination. Not for himself alone, but for all the people out there like him, who went through the same silent struggles each day, with no ability to speak or podium to speak from. This was never merely about a seat on an airplane. It was about dignity, respect, and the ability to travel through the world unharmed by suspicion or contempt. And until those freedoms are given freely, not earned, not negotiated, not revoked in an instant, tales like Jordan's will continue to unfold. On planes, in offices, classrooms, and streets across the world. So the question remains, pending all of us, when we see something like this happen, will we turn away, or will we stand up at last? Not only for the Jordans of the world, but for the future we profess to believe in. Because change doesn't begin with quiet. It starts the moment someone declares that enough is enough.